Let's go. Let's talk about this. The spiritual discipline of submission. There's 3 different areas God calls us to show submission in our life. Let's work this out practically. First one is in the family. That he calls us to submit to our parents and to our husbands. And we'll do the parent one. In Exodus 20:12, he's giving the 10 commandments, and he says this. He says, honor your father and mother, that your days may be long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. You know, it's the only one that comes with a blessing. He says, honor your father and mother, and you'll be blessed. 2 things. 1, there is no expiration date on this. You can be 99 years old, and if mom and dad are still around, you still are called to honor them. You don't grow out of this. The second thing is, there's no stipulation of honor your father and mother if they're good. Only honor your father and mother when they're asking good things of you. After first service, I had all these conversations with people who are like, but you don't know my parents. I was like, hey, there's one caveat in all this. Is that just like in our judicial system, we have the right to appeal. We can take when an authority maybe does something we don't think is good and God would not like, we have the right to take that to the Lord. It's called the principle of appeal. And we get to take that to God and say, God, my mom or my boss or my pastor is saying this, and you get to go to scripture and say, yeah, okay, that's not okay. And then you can reject it, right? Peter, when he was standing in front of the Sanhedrin and they were saying, you need to stop preaching the gospel, he didn't go, oh, I got to submit to my governing authorities. He was like, hey, we fear God more than you. This is what he's called and commissioned us to. But the truth is, most of us, we throw out the principle of appeal towards anyone saying anything we don't like, always. And so when it comes to our parents, we are disrespectful. And it doesn't just say don't be disrespectful, it says honor them. Have you learned how to show honor to your parents even when you disagree with them? Have you learned how to show honor to your parents even when you disagree with them? Next one, let's talk about appointed submission, right? Romans 13:1, it says this, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities. Did you notice there's no asterisk that says unless you live in California? Have you noticed that? Everyone be subject to the governing authorities. There is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. As Americans, that one is hard. Let's just take it out of government authorities. Let's talk about your boss for a second. See, here's what I see. Here's my question for us today. Do you allow bad bosses or political leaders to give you an excuse to cut corners? You don't know my boss, AJ. You're right, I don't know him, but I know what God commands you to do, and that is to do your best under him or her. You don't know the governor. No, I do. No, I don't know him, but you know what I mean. And we are called to submit under their authority. Now, again, when they call us to do something that is not biblical, you're allowed to be a principle of appeal. But in everything else, we're called to be good citizens. We'll finish with this. Spiritual submission. Talk about in the church. Spiritual submission and the dynamic of the church. Hebrews 13:17, it says this, have confidence in your leaders and submit to their authority because they keep a watch over you as those who must give an account so that they can control you, so they can manipulate you and extort you. No, why? Do this so that their work will be a joy, not a burden, for that would be of no benefit to you. Here's my question that I want to close with. Is your initial reaction to spiritual correction marked by trust or skepticism? Here's a more dangerous question. When was the last time you had any sort of spiritual correction in your life? When was the last time you had someone come and say, hey, I don't like this. I think you might need to do it differently. Here's something I would say. Either one, you have no problems. Please recognize it's not you. 2, you might have no one that you're submitted to who is giving an account for you, and you miss out on the blessing. Can you afford to? I certainly can't.